Have you ever noticed how some people slowly disappear from the life they once lived? You see them less and less. They don't go to the same parties, they don't laugh at the same jokes, and they don't care about the same goals they used to chase. At first, it looks like they are losing interest in life. But if you look closer, you see something different. They are not fading away because they are broken. They are fading away because they are waking up. And once a person wakes up spiritually, the world they used to live in no longer feels like home. Imagine this. A man sits in his car late at night after another long day at work. The city lights are flashing around him. Cars are rushing past, and his phone is buzzing with messages. On the surface, he has everything: money, status, a busy social life. But as he stares at his own reflection in the rearview mirror, he feels empty. He wonders, is this really all there is? Is this what I was born for? That small question begins to grow louder in his heart until one day he cannot ignore it. Within a year, he sells most of his belongings, leaves his high-paying job, and moves to a small, quiet town. His friends whisper behind his back. His family worries about him, but he is finally smiling with peace in his eyes. Did he really disappear, or did he finally appear in his own life for the first time? This is what happens when someone awakens. They don't just change on the inside. They begin to live differently on the outside. They stop chasing things that no longer make sense. They stop forcing themselves to fit into places that drain their soul. They begin to slip away quietly, and people who don't understand call it strange. But to the awakened, it is freedom. Think about society for a moment. It runs on distraction. It keeps people busy with endless scrolling, endless deadlines, endless drama. People talk about celebrities as if they know them. They compete for promotions that leave them exhausted. They chase likes and followers like they are oxygen. But when someone awakens, all of this starts to feel meaningless. Gossip sounds empty. Chasing trends feels foolish. Working until you collapse feels insane. And so the awakened stop. They walk away from a noise. Picture yourself standing in a crowded shopping mall. Bright lights everywhere. Music blasting. People rushing, carrying bags, looking stressed and tired. To most people, this is just a normal day. But to someone awakened, it feels like walking into a storm. Their chest feels heavy, their mind feels clouded, their spirit feels unsettled. This is because awakening makes you sensitive. You no longer see just the surface. You feel the vibration underneath. You notice the heaviness of greed, the emptiness of endless consumption, the stress hidden behind fake smiles. And so the awakened person chooses not to be there. They choose peace instead of chaos. The same thing happens with people. Imagine sitting with someone who spends the whole time complaining. Before, you might have nodded politely and joined in. But now it feels like poison. You feel your energy sinking. Your heart feels tired. Not because you're judging them, but because you feel the weight of their words more deeply than before. And so you protect yourself. You choose silence. You choose solitude. You choose fewer people, but deeper connections. This is why awakened people disappear from the circles they once belonged to. Not because they hate anyone, but because they can no longer survive in shallow waters. They are searching for depth, for meaning, for truth. And when they cannot find it in the places they used to go, they simply stop showing up. Another reason awakened people vanish is because their relationship with time changes. Society tells us that time is money. Every minute should be spent achieving something, proving something, earning something. But when you awaken, you see through this illusion. You realize time is not meant to be sold. Time is meant to be lived. An awakened person would rather spend an hour sitting under a tree listening to birds and an hour in an office chasing numbers on a screen. To the world, it looks like laziness. But to the awakened, it is living. And when they disappear from one world, they reappear in another. They reappear in nature, walking barefoot on the grass, breathing fresh air, watching the stars. They reappear in their own hearts, journaling, meditating, reflecting. They reappear in the presence of those rare souls who understand silence better than noise. They don't vanish into nothing. They vanish into truth. Think about the history of humanity. Think about monks who left behind kingdoms, to live in monasteries. Think about sages who walked into mountains, prophets who chose deserts, poets who found solitude in forests. We see their stories as distant and rare. But the truth is, it is still happening today, only in quieter ways. The coworker who suddenly resigns to live simply. The friend who no longer goes to parties but spends nights stargazing. The family member who stops arguing and chooses silence. These are not people losing themselves. These are people finding themselves. Maybe you have felt this too. Maybe the things that once excited you now feel boring. Maybe the conversations that once entertained you now feel heavy. Maybe you have been craving silence, more time alone, more space for your soul to breathe. If you feel this, it is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that awakening has touched you. The moment you awaken, your definition of life changes. For society, life means constant movement. Work by consume, repeat. For the awakened, life means presence, being still, breathing deeply, noticing beauty. These two worlds rarely mix, and that is why the awakened step away. They cannot force themselves back into the old rhythm because it would feel like death to their spirit. So they choose to disappear. But disappearing is not the end. In many ways, it is the beginning. When awakened people step away, they are not abandoning the world. They are preparing to serve it differently. Their silence sharpens their wisdom. Their solitude deepens their strength. And when they return as guides, as healers, as examples. They come back not to join the noise, but to show others the power of silence. Think about yourself. When you spend even a few hours alone, don't you feel calmer when you return? More patient? More centered? That is what awakened people experience on a much larger scale. They retreat to heal. They retreat to remember. They retreat to become whole. But here is the paradox. Society sees disappearing as weakness. It thinks those who step away are afraid of challenges, afraid of responsibility. But the truth is, it takes incredible courage to walk away from a herd. It takes strength to stop playing a game everyone else is addicted to. Pretending is easy. Awakening is hard. Disappearing is not escape. It is transformation. Let me give you another story. A young woman works in a law firm. Everyone admires her for her success. She dresses well, earns well, and looks like she has it all together. But inside, she feels empty, anxious, restless. Every night, she feels like something is missing. One day, she cannot take it anymore. She quits, sells her apartment, and moves to a small village where she teaches children and grows her own food. People whisper, she threw away her future. But years later, she is glowing with health, with joy, with peace. Did she really throw her life away? Or did she finally begin living? This is the truth of awakening. To the outside world, it looks like loss. You lose habits. You lose desires. You lose attachments. But to the awakened, it feels like freedom. They're not disappearing into emptiness. They're disappearing into fullness. Some people worry, but if everyone disappears, who will keep society running? But the truth is, not everyone is meant to disappear. Some stay, some leave. But those who step away become living reminders of what is possible. They show us that life can be different. They show us that peace exists outside the noise. They remind us that stillness can heal and silence can teach. And maybe this is the real secret. Spiritually awakened people don't disappear because they are lost. They disappear because they have outgrown what no longer serves them. They don't hate the world. They simply no longer belong to its illusions. They don't reject life. They embrace life more deeply than most can imagine. So the next time you see someone slowly fading away from the crowd, don't assume they're broken. They may have found something too deep for words. They may be walking a path you cannot yet see. And one day, you may feel the same pull in your own heart. Because disappearing from society does not mean losing your place in the world. It means finding your place in the universe.